Welcome, bonjour. In this video, we will learn how you can help your brain learn another language. We will talk about how language is processed in the brain, how we should learn a language as an adult, as well as how we can use technology in this process. Language learning is generally associated with two areas in the brain: Broca's area, responsible for speech production, and Wernicke's area, responsible for speech comprehension. These are the areas in which phonemes, the smallest units of sound, and lexemes, the smallest units of meaning, are processed. Learning a new language means that an incoming word is compared to the existing inventory of phonemes and lexemes to identify it. If it cannot be identified, a new record of the word is created. When a word is activated to be used in speech, lexemes and phonemes from two or more languages are called up at the same time to then be processed in Broca's area. During this process, the phonological loop that consists of two subsystems, rehearsal and temporary storage, plays a role. While the rehearsal takes part in the Broca's area by identifying phonemes, the temporary storage subsystem that is used for phonemes that cannot be identified and/or matched to a lexeme right away is not part of Broca. Rather, it is on the left side of the parietal lobe. Further to that, Broca's and Wernicke's areas are part of a larger language network that connects these areas with the auditory cortex that processes sound, as well as the motor cortex, which coordinates the physical aspects of speaking. All of these areas are around the Sylvian fissure, and therefore the network is named the perisylvian cortex. Language learning is not just a matter of language faculties, but of memory and the senses. Recording new information in the brain, for example, new words, has two sides: the linguistic side, phonemes, lexemes, and the non-linguistic side. The recording takes place in the hippocampus. The hippocampus is part of a network in the brain called the limbic system. The limbic system connects the hippocampus with the amygdala, which processes emotions, the entorhinal cortex relaying information to memory, and the perirhinal cortex transmitting information from the senses such as the olfactory bulb, occipital lobe, and auditory cortex. Nestled in the brain, the thalamus is also part of the system, transmitting sensory and motor signals, thereby providing an important link between the limbic system and the perisylvian cortex. We can see how active the brain is when processing language. Language faculties, memory faculties, the senses and cortices are all connected, exchanging information. In addition to networks, we have to look at synapses. Learning another language means acquiring many new words. At the synaptic level, a word is acquired by forming a new permanent connection through electrical signals and biochemical reactions involving neurotransmitters, proteins, enzymes, and genes. The neurotransmitters serotonin, dopamine, and acetylcholine function as chemical messengers, while the role of glutamate is somewhat different, as it works as a mediator. When a neuron is firing, it is a matter of stimulation if a new permanent connection is formed. If there is enough stimulation, a gene is activated that produces a protein, and the protein either modifies an existing synapse or forms a new synapse. The new synapse provides an additional link to the neuron. Consequently, signals can be processed faster and more reliably. If we look at the brain, the advantage we have as children is that we learn a language while the perisylvian cortex and the limbic system are still developing. The development of our brain and our language went hand in hand. In blue is the perisylvian cortex, in red the limbic system and the senses. As adults, our brain is fully developed. Fortunately, our brain has the ability to change, adjust, and learn something new throughout life. This is generally referred to as neuroplasticity. Furthermore, the perisylvian cortex is not fine-tuned until we reach adulthood, and the interplay with the limbic system is not fine-tuned until our mid-20s. Therefore, one can not only learn a new language as an adult, but can become highly proficient. However, integrating new information into the existing network takes time and effort. If the information we process stimulates the senses, the likelihood that a new synapse is formed goes up. Here you see the stimulation we have as children. For example, the first time we encountered an apple, we probably smelled, tasted, and touched the apple. There was a sense of discovery. 20 years later, sitting in French class, we have to learn the word pomme. We already know what an apple smells, tastes, and feels like. The sensation of discovery is diminished. Therefore, it takes time and effort to create a synapse for pomme. The stimulation looks like this. Interestingly enough, the same networks are being used when learning our first language as a child and when learning a new language as an adult. So as we're kids, learning a language should be fun and entertaining. The more we activate our senses and emotions, the quicker we learn a new language. Learning another language, ideally we expose ourselves to that language and its culture as much as possible. If you learn French, go to France, or another French-speaking country or region. This is something technology can help us with. It needs to provide an experience that is authentic and realistic. If you can't sit in a cafe in France talking to a French waiter or waitress, the technology needs to put you into that situation. The emerging virtual reality technology has the potential to do exactly that. The headset allows us to dive into a three-dimensional world, or what seems like a three-dimensional world, talking to a chatbot. In a way, having that sense of discovery would trick our brain into thinking this might be real. An advantage of this technology is that a chatbot has a lot of patience, allowing us to practice as much as we like. A disadvantage is that it reacts to certain algorithms, and although it is getting smarter and smarter, sometimes you get stuck, and unlike talking to a real person, it cannot provide unlimited assistance, helping us to say something in the language we are learning, even though we don't quite know how to express ourselves. It's been some 30 years that the holodeck was first introduced into the science fiction series Star Trek: The Next Generation. According to the Oxford Dictionary, a holodeck is a chamber or a facility in which a user can experience a holographic or computer-simulated physical environment. The Star Trek website adds that it can be subject-driven, that is, the character controls the story or plot with his or her thoughts, or object-driven, that is, the program controls the story or plot. We'll see how much longer it takes until it becomes reality.